Okay, and welcome back. Professor JP Almeida here, and I've been meaning to do this video for a while. This was originally supposed to be a flex talk at LBCC called Creating Videos for Your Courses, but then we had something called the COVID happen. So for those watching from the future and wondering why I'm in my dining room, let me actually share a photo I took earlier of our dining room. As you can see, it looks more like a special ops room than it does an actual dining room. And you could see my laptop in the far corner. My wife, who is also a community college instructor, uses the dining room to record her lectures, and then my daughter also uses the dining room for her work. Our place is pretty small, so that's our reality. But anyway, I was gonna give this flex talk, and then the COVID happened, and I decided, you know what, I'm actually just gonna record this video and put it online. Now, I've talked with a couple of my colleagues, some peers, and even some neighbors who are also instructors, and this face-to-face to online transition has been anything but smooth. Some feel intimidated about the idea of putting videos online, and some are wondering what my secret sauce is. So you're going to get all of that in this presentation. So let's give it a shot. This is the flex talk I was supposed to give, and it's called Creating Videos for Your Courses. Now, in this talk, you're going to learn where to start, okay? I know that everyone has their own opinions. You're going to get my opinions on this, but again, don't feel intimidated. I know it's easy to feel scared about the idea of hearing and seeing yourself out there, but trust me, I even feel that way right now as I'm talking to you. You're also going to learn what I did to overcome fear and doubt from hearing and seeing yourself on video. I'm also going to share some simple software for creating videos and screencasts, and then finally, some best practices for creating videos and engaging your audience. Now, if you need to hit that pause button, please feel free to do so, and I'll be right here waiting for you. All right, let's go ahead and begin. And I want to start by sharing the link to this presentation. I'm going to put the link in the description below, but if you have a mobile device, you can take it out right now and capture this QR code. All right. Now, before we go any further, I just want to emphasize a couple of things. There really is no right way to do this. As you can see, I'm in my dining room just recording this. It doesn't have to be a fancy studio. You don't need the best equipment. I have a cheap USB mic and webcam, which I'll get to in a little bit. Do what's best and comfortable for you. You don't have to try to copy me or to try to get up to my level or the level of some of the others that I'm about to share in this presentation. Do what's best for you. I'm just sharing how I got started, and then finally apply what works and flush what doesn't. So those are some of the things to keep in mind as we are going through this presentation. Now, I have some questions for you to think about. Number one, what are some of your potential barriers that are keeping you from recording videos like this one? And secondly, how do you feel about those barriers? So take a moment, think about it. Again, if you have to pause this video, please do so, and I'll be right here waiting for you. Okay, now, if you're in a room with some friends or family or even your colleagues, maybe you're breaking that stay-at-home order, maybe you can ask each other, what are some of your own personal potential barriers in putting yourselves out there? Okay, you can do that too. So I want to share this course intro video with you. Again, I'm going to put it down in the description. This was something a colleague passed along to me and said, hey, you know what, maybe one of these days you could try doing a video like this one. So I want you to sit down and watch this video. You don't have to watch all of it, but if you do, hey, more power to you. And jot down your thoughts, like what's going through your mind as you watch this video. Again, I'll put a link in the description. Okay. Now, let me ask you this. What if you've never created or edited a video like this, or let alone record yourself? I'm going to tell you right now, to get to even that level is intimidating for me. I'm just using simple software right now, but that's a whole lot of editing, a lot of takes, and even right now, I'm telling you, I'm tempted to stop this video and delete this take. That's going on inside my head right now. So even for me, something like this is intimidating. It's a very well put together video. I hope to get to that level at some point, but if you're just starting out, don't feel like you have to get all the way to that level or even to mine. I'm just sharing what I know here. So ponder that little what if for a moment here, okay? Because I'm going to share something with you. Here's my first video. It was actually a vlog that I put together. Honestly, I wish it never existed, but you know what they say about the internet, it never forgets, so it is what it is, right? This video was shot on a Moto G smartphone. This is tech from 2014, and if you notice from the screenshot, I'm not even looking at the camera, I'm looking at the screen, and here's why. If I'm recording myself on my phone, you know, I have a tendency to look at the screen, and I'm sure you do too, right? I'm looking at the screen, not noticing that there's this little pinhole I should be looking at. So in a couple of takes since this first video, I remember that I have to look at the little pinhole. Even in front of me, I got to look at this pinhole here. And again, these are just some of the things that you have to pick up on the more and more you get into it. So this video took multiple takes. There was a lot of fear and doubt, and honestly, I still hate this video to this day, and I still want to delete it, but you know, the internet never forgets. But why am I sharing this with you? Because there's a point to all of this, and that point is you have to start somewhere. Okay, you really have to start somewhere. Take, for instance, Joe Rogan. Okay, he has a huge podcast. He has millions of subscribers. His studio setup is phenomenal. His production's really slick, but it wasn't always like that. If you go back to some of the first few episodes, I believe they were just in a room, just basically goofing off. They never really had a point to what they were doing. And then over time, it evolved into what it is today. Having a full-on podcast with professional equipment, and he's interviewing some real big names out there. You know, so you do have to start somewhere. Okay. Now, how did I even get to this point? Well, I read a book called Gorilla Mindset by Mike Cernovich. Now, whatever you may think of him is besides the point, but in the very first few chapters, he talks about the need for self-talk. Now, for me, that meant talking to myself in front of a mirror. And I know it sounds crazy. Even right now, just talking into this camera seems crazy. When I go in my backyard, I wonder what my neighbors are thinking if I'm not driving them up the wall already. But I talk to myself in front of a mirror, and by talking to yourself in front of a mirror, you become conscious of your mannerisms. As a matter of fact, when you're practicing for speeches, what do they tell you to practice in front of a mirror? And it's for that reason, because you become conscious of your mannerisms, you start to notice your body language, and then when you play yourself back, you become aware of the things you say. I know I have a tendency to stutter. I say ums, I say so a lot. I'm trying to work on it to this day, but you do become aware of those things, and by becoming aware, you can see, I just did it. You can be able to overcome those barriers. Now, I recorded myself for 10 minutes, and if you have an app on your phone that lets you record, go ahead and do that. Talk to yourself for 10 minutes. What do you want to talk about? Doesn't matter, right? Just talk about something. It could be any topic. Record yourself for 10 minutes and then play it back. As a matter of fact, this is how podcasts usually start. The next step, once you graduate from hearing yourself speak, is to watching yourself. Now, I'll admit it's still weird talking to a camera like this, but trust me, there's going to be a lot of takes. There's going to be fear and doubt. It's going to take practice long after your first few videos. Even for me right now, like I said, I've been tempted to stop this one take. And by doing one takes like this, it's also forcing me to power through. And I know my wife can attest to me stopping in the middle of something and starting over. And as a matter of fact, she told me earlier, you really need a script for this. But you know, if I read a script, I start to sound robotic. I'm much more comfortable talking like this as if it were a conversation. Okay, so that's how I got there. And here I am 3 years later in my dining room using my laptop and free software. This is the same USB mic and webcam that you're seeing right here. Here's my mic, there's my webcam. And more importantly, from that first video to now, I have a lot more confidence. I'm more confident in hearing myself, in seeing myself, and your audience is going to pick up on that. Okay, it's very important. Like I said, it's going to take time to develop. Okay, so now I want to hear your take. Well, I know I can't hear you because you're watching this at home, but if you have friends or family members or even colleagues, you're breaking that stay-at-home order, let's share. If you've done videos, how easy were they for you? What did you have to overcome to make them? What do you still have to overcome? So again, if you need to hit that pause button, please do so, but really try to reflect on this. Okay, now let's try this. How about doing an audio interview for a few minutes? If you're willing to do this, get a friend or family member, sit down with them, record a conversation, and then play it back when you're done. What are your reactions to what you just listened to? Okay. Once you've done that, let's see if you're ready to try video. Matter of fact, how about creating a welcome video for your students? Okay, let me share my secret sauce with you. This is my setup in the dining room. I have a USB webcam here. I spent about 15 bucks on Amazon for it. I have a 480p USB webcam. In my office, I have a little snowball. I have a 1080p built-in webcam. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, I can't be in my office, so I'm making do with what I have. And I'm using OBS Studio. This is free software, and I'll share what it looks like and how it works in a little bit. Okay, so this is the secret sauce here. Again, it doesn't have to be fancy. When I first started recording videos, I was just using my phone and then uploading it to YouTube. Okay, that doesn't have to be anything fancy. You already have the tools that you need right here. Okay, let's get into software. Now, if you really want something basic and free, there's Screencast-O-Matic. You can get it by visiting screencast-o-matic.com. Again, it's free for basic screen recording. If you want more features, there are the paid tiers for that. It's available for Microsoft Windows and Mac OS. It does automatic captioning through the wonders of Google. It's basically the same captioning that you would get if you were to upload your videos to YouTube, which means that you might have to go back and fix that captioning. It's kind of like putting a TV show on mute and turning on the closed captioning. You ever notice they don't really get everything in that captioning? That's pretty much YouTube, right? So you may have to go back and correct it, especially for 508 compliance. Here's an example of me using Screencast-O-Matic. This is a final exam I had to record myself, okay? And this was using Screencast-O-Matic. So you can see basically I'm recording my desktop and what I'm doing, and I'm over here in the corner. So that's Screencast-O-Matic. All right, let's talk about OBS Studio. As a matter of fact, this is the software I'm using right now in recording this presentation. It's called OBS Studio. It's free and open source. You can get it at obsproject.com. And this software is for video recording, but more for live streams, right? If you have a Windows machine, Mac OS, or you have a Linux laptop like I do right here, you can get OBS Studio. The nice thing about this software is the ability to set up certain scenes and to use keyboard shortcuts to switch between them. What do I mean by that? So I've set up some hotkeys to switch between screens like this. So you can see I'm talking to you right now through my webcam, and I'm switching back to my desktop. Okay, so you can set up hotkeys to switch scenes like that, and this helps where you're in an environment where you just have one display. Now, I can't be in my office where I have multiple displays, so these hotkeys are a godsend. Now, a couple other things to think about if you want to use OBS Studio, you're going to have to rely on YouTube for captions. Okay, captioning is not built in. If you upload to YouTube, you're going to get that automatic captioning, and again, you're going to run into that same issue if you need 508 compliance. Also, if you are screencasting, you're probably going to need pointer trails. Okay, I know some people really get annoyed by that. What are pointer trails? In Windows, you have the ability to have your mouse pointer leave trails as you're moving them across the screen. And I know it's annoying for some people, but others may find it helpful, especially if they're trying to track where your mouse is moving. So that might be something you have to keep in mind when you're recording screencasts. People are going to watch where your mouse is moving, so you might want to think about that. Okay, recognize that and keep that in mind as you're recording your videos. Okay, so this is what OBS Studio looks like. You can see I have my webcam scene here. You can see I've set up 3 different scenes. It's pretty easy to configure, especially if you have a USB webcam and a USB mic. It's pretty much plug and play. It works just great. You might have to set up your hotkeys. So if you're starting out, this might not be the best choice. There is a little learning curve, but it's pretty easy to pick up, honestly. Now, I know some have asked about this. How do you get a banner like this going? Honestly, I use PowerPoint at the office and I use LibreOffice at home to create a slide and then export it out as a PNG image, and then that becomes the banner. So that's what I use. Again, it doesn't have to be that fancy, but I'm just sharing what I do here. Okay. Now, if you really want to take it to the next level, we have what's called Camtasia. Now, this video is primarily geared toward LBCC folks. So if you're from LBCC and you're watching this, ask IITS to get Camtasia installed on your office PC, or, in the case with the COVID, see if there's a way that they can get it installed for you. Now with Camtasia, you can do screen recording, video editing and trimming. It'll automatically generate captions. It's pretty full-fledged. So the nice thing about Camtasia is you could do a take, and if you mess something up, you can always edit it out. That's the beauty of it. Whereas like with OBS Studio, you have to do a one take and get it right the first time. Okay, so that is Camtasia. Before I go any further, I wanted to share some of the little things with OBS Studio that I'm using personally. As I mentioned before, it's more appropriate for live streams. A lot of gamers tend to use OBS Studio. Now, on this laptop here, it's running Kubuntu Linux. I'm a Linux user at home. OBS Studio is great for me, and that's pretty much the only real option if you ask me. Again, there's the issue of one takes, having to get it right the first time. And if you don't have multiple displays, those hotkeys really are a godsend. All right, and speaking of captioning, automatic captioning may not be enough. And again, this goes back to the 508 compliance. If you have DSPS students, they might require accurate captioning. And if you're using YouTube or relying on Google to create those captions, you may have to go back and edit those transcripts, and I know how much of a royal pain they can be. So just kind of be aware of that. Now, if you're using Canvas, and again, the audience here is other LBCC colleagues, you can submit videos through 3C Media, and the turnaround time is usually 3 to 5 business days. So do talk to your department, check with your department, especially if you don't use Canvas. So if you're in Canvas, you can submit those videos for captioning, and it's a 3 to 5 day turnaround. Okay, at least that's what I'm aware of. All right, things could be different, but again, check with your department for details. All right, so I hope this has been helping you out, and if it is, feel free to smash that like button. If you need to hit that pause button, because I know there's a lot to take in, feel free to do that, and I'll be right here waiting. Okay, and we're back. So let's talk about engaging your audience. And this is something that's going to take work, okay? You're not going to get it right the first time. Your first few videos might be dull and boring. You know, it just takes a whole lot of practice. Even to get to this level where I'm at, it takes quite a bit of work. You want to make sure that you're high energy, you're animated. You're probably noticing my hands are moving around, okay? You want to make sure that your audience continues to watch. Speaking loud is a plus. You might have to soundproof your office, or in this case with my dining room, my wife and daughter, or somewhere else in the house. It's a pretty small place. Have confidence. It's really going to show. Okay, so again, this is going to take work, and this is why I tell you, the more and more you do this, the more confident you're going to become, and it's really going to show through in your videos. Now, I know some have been asking, why do you say "and we're back" and "welcome back"? And it's actually a technique, okay? Have you ever noticed when you watch TV programming, you ever notice when they come back from commercial break, they always say, "and we're back, hey, welcome back"? How do you feel when they say that, right? When they say, "hey, welcome back," you're probably kind of like, what did I miss, right? And that's the same thing here. The reason why I start my videos that way is because, you know, especially if you haven't been watching me, you're probably wondering, okay, what did I miss from that? Okay, just a little technique. Okay, so for those wondering why I say it, there's your answer. And again, why are people watching you? Okay, what are you trying to accomplish? Okay, in this case, you're creating videos for your classes, but you know, anybody can just stick a camera in the back of the room and record lectures. But if you really want to engage with your students or even a wider audience, give them a reason, okay? And I know I'm kind of breaking a rule right now with having long videos, but you know, I'm just doing this as a one take. And again, this is something you might want to think about, is chopping up your videos. But again, if you're sticking a camera in the back of the room and recording lectures, obviously it's going to be a little bit tough to chop out those videos. So I'm going to try to keep this short. Okay, let's go ahead and move on through this. So again, these are some tips and tricks. You don't have to follow what I'm saying. You know, you have to come up with it yourself. Everyone has an opinion, and I'm just sharing mine. So what about you? What are some other tips and techniques that you want to share? So if you're in a room with friends and family, talk about this, right? What are some tips and techniques that you use, and feel free to share them. Anyway, I hope this video has helped you out. If it did, feel free to smash that like button. Hey, feel free to subscribe if you've never seen me before, okay? Check out my other videos. I hope this has really helped you out here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating. And I'll catch you in another video. Take care, folks.